This is ArchBang Bootcamp Episode 2. Today we are installing ArchBang Linux in VirtualBox, and we're going to do that right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. Welcome to ArchBang Bootcamp Part 2. Today I am installing ArchBang in VirtualBox. That is all I'm doing today. In the next episode, we're going to cover installing VirtualBox additions and our first use of Pac-Man to do updates and that sort of thing. Okay, first, before I begin with the installation process, you need to read this documentation here, and this is located at https://wiki.archlinux.org/indexphp virtualbox. To get there easily, you just visit the Arch Linux website, click on Wiki, and it will take you to this page. If you have the Firefox browser plugin that lets you add any search to your search bar like I have here, you can right-click on the search bar and select Add to Search Bar, and then you will have a search bar here so that you can use the Arch Wiki. You will notice I have two searches. I have the Arch Wiki and the Arch AUR, or the Arch User Repository, for searching for packages and that sort of thing. Okay, with that out of the way, let's begin with the installation. Make sure you read this though. This is very important. Okay, I already have ArchBang fired up. Let's go ahead and install this. Right-click on the desktop and select Install. Okay, and you will get a text-based installer. It says, "Welcome to ArchBang installation program. Simply follow the steps in order." We will set date and time. UTC is what you want. And I will select America and New York. Okay, the date looks great, and the time looks great. Now, time for disk preparation. I am going to use assisted preparation. The reason being is because I am not installing this as a dual boot. If you want to dual boot Arch or ArchBang, you need to read the documentation on that. I don't know how to do it. Alright, so we'll do assisted preparation. It's recommended 32 megs of space for the boot partition, no problem. Okay, 256 megs for the swap partition. Excellent. I'm going to use, as it recommends, 7,500 megs for root, no problem. And it will get 22,932 megabytes as the home partition. Okay, we will use ext4. And yes. We'll select yes again. Okay, now it's going to go through the process of partitioning the drives for us. And this will take a moment. It is finished. Now we'll go back to the main menu. We will now install the system. This will take a few moments. Then it will give us a prompt saying that we need to press enter so that it can install all the files, and then enter again when finished. Okay, now here's that prompt I was talking about. So let's go ahead and press enter, and then we'll press enter again once this is done installing. Okay, now I installed this from a USB stick and the installation went really fast. Okay, and I'm noticing it's taking a little bit longer using this from an ISO image. Now, something I need to point out to you guys. After this is done installing, do not jump ahead and install guest additions unless you have read the documentation on the page that I asked you to do that. If you install the guest additions using the additions that come with VirtualBox, you will break your VirtualBox install of ArchBang. I'm going to be covering that in the next episode. Once this is finished, I will be back and we will proceed to the next step. Okay, now you'll see that it's copied all the files with 0 fail. This took longer in the virtual machine. I actually did this on my main computer and it only took 15 seconds. It was fast. But on a virtual machine, so we'll press enter again. Okay, and installation succeeded. Enter to continue. Okay, now, this is the tricky part. We're going to configure system next. Pay close attention. Root password. Now we need to create a username. And a password. Next, this says this is optional. You really do not want to skip this. Configure system. We're going to have a quick look at etsy.conf. You're going to need to look at this file because you're going to be editing it from time to time in Arch. So let's go ahead and do that. Nano now opens up. Excuse me, and it's going to show us some different things. We don't have to mess with any of these up here in the top. Okay, modules, but your host name, instead of ArchBang, maybe you might want to change it to something else. Why don't we call this Penguin? Alright. These are your daemons. Okay, now you will sometimes need to add something to this to maybe get a function added. The documentation will tell you when you need to edit this information. We're not going to add anything to daemons right now. So, to exit, we press Control X. Y for yes and enter. Okay, we are done with that. We do not really need to modify fstab. Fstab is essentially your drive configurations and everything. We are not going to mess with Mechincipio or modprobe or resolve, but we do want to look at hosts. Okay, now you'll see here that we need to put Penguin where it says ArchBang. Oh, my bad. Okay, and we'll do the same thing down here. Alright, very good. When we're done, press Alt-X, yes to save it, and enter. Okay, and now the Pac-Man D mirror list. This is critical. You have to edit this one. Now, you will need to comment out any servers you are not going to use. If you live in Australia, for instance, you do not want a pound in front of these. I live in the United States, so I'm going to comment out these servers. If you do not do this, you may end up with a very slow connection when you're accessing Pac-Man. So you will need to comment out all of the countries that you're not going to be using. I selected the United States and Canada for mine because of the continent that I'm on. Okay, now when you get to the United States, something I need to point out is the Arch Linux servers, and it doesn't look like they are on the list here. Yes, the Arch Linux.subspec.org websites need to be commented out because they are only throttled at 50 megabits, which are very slow. So comment those first two out, but if you're in the United States, keep the rest of them. Okay? And you can see there's a lot of servers. And then of course let me comment out Uzbekistan. Okay, now that I'm satisfied that I have the servers that I want, leaving just the United States servers and Canada. And for some, I don't know why they did it this way, where they had everything uncommented out, because it was tedious to do that, but oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so we're done, so we'll press Control X to exit, Y for yes to save, and enter. Okay. We really don't need to edit any of these other files for the time being. We'll press OK. Alright, now we can go back. Now it's building everything based on the choices that we have made. And it will take a moment to do this. Now we will install the bootloader. And it will use the old grub. It's not going to use grub 2. Okay, now we will look at the grub configuration. This is your timeout. This is going to show how long your grub menu is going to display. On my computer, I set it to 0. But if you want to have grub available, you can set it to any number you want. I have it set on 0. I really don't want to see the grub screen. I just want to boot right into the system really fast. Okay? Or you could set it down to a 1, and then, you know, when your computer boots up, if you're pressing any key, the up or down key, as the computer is booting, it will halt and it will let you choose something else. You can also choose the colors that it will display in as well, right here. I hope you guys have this in high def because the cursor is kind of hard to see. Alright, and then basically it's giving you your choices. You have ArchBang Linux, or you have the fallback mode. Now, something to note here. If you're using an ATI card and you want 3D acceleration effects, let me back this up here. You're going to need to remove no mode set for your ATI card. Now, we're running this in VirtualBox though, so we will leave this as is for the time being, because VirtualBox does not see your ATI card. Alright. Control X, yes, and enter. Alright, now we want it to install to dev SDA. That is our boot partition that we defined in the beginning of this exercise. So we will press enter for OK. It is now installing Grub. Grub has been successfully installed, and now we can quit. Now, let me go ahead here and if it will let me do this. So I'm not seeing the controls on the bottom here. I'll do it this way. There we go. Okay, we're going to need to tell it to exit by right-clicking on the desktop, of course. And we want it to shut down. While it's shutting down, I'm going to remove the disk from the virtual drive. Okay, let me go ahead and open up a terminal here. Box. I forgot what I renamed it, so I'll just go into the menu here and grab it that way. I think I called it ArchBang. Oh, just Arch. Okay, never mind. So I forgot what I titled it, so I could have just launched it from the command line, but let me remove disk from virtual drive. Machine reset. Kind of figured it didn't remove that. Alright, now it's booting Arch. We can, there we go. Okay, now you are greeted with the slim user interface. And I'm going to actually show you how to load different desktop environments using Slim. This is what I use, and there are a few really interesting things that you can actually do with this. So let's go ahead and log in. And here we are. We've got our ArchBang system installed. In the next episode, as mentioned before, I'm going to show you how to install VirtualBox editions. Do not use the menu up here. Do not use the install guest editions here. You will break your virtual install, so don't do it. Follow the information on the Arch Wiki if you want to jump ahead of me. I'm going to show you how to install that in Pac-Man. Plus, we're also going to update the system so that we're running the latest kernel and everything. But there is a problem with it in the beginning, and I'm going to show you how to get by that. We'll do that in the next episode. If you thought this was useful, comment, like, and subscribe. Also, catch me on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. We've got more headed your way, and we'll see you next time.